What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode here on the Matt LaStalia Show. Happy to have you guys. Super excited about this week's topic. Actually, it was interesting. I tried to reach y'all through a live video. I did my very first attempt. We're gonna do a little what do they call it? Inside baseball for a second for those other digital marketers and creators out there. There's a little headaches that I've been dealing with. I've been trying to figure out. I really want to go live with you guys, right? That's like my intent. Is I want to find ways to connect better with you, and I think that one of the best ways to do that is actually to go live, and that way you know that like I'm really here, and if you have the time and the availability, kind of while that's happening, to be there, excuse me, then you have the option to do that. You have the option to actually be there with me and to go through this together, kind of as a group. And I think that there's strength in that, especially now. We're all very used to streaming content and having it on demand, but there's very interesting. There's an interesting thing that's happening right now, and I think there's almost like we're starting to get throwbacks to things that we used to value, things that we used to enjoy, things that used to that matter. One of the first things that I thought about with this was actually I think that there's almost there's a feeling of, what is it? It's retro, that feeling of nostalgia, the feeling of almost romanticizing the past. You know, we do that with the, not the Stone Age, but like the Iron Age, and we do that with some of even the Dark Ages. We look at, and especially with a lot of the shows, there's a lot of really good content out there that kind of romanticizes, the Vikings and things like that, and you don't really get the feel for how awful it would have been to live during those times. And so it gets romanticized, and we look back with, I belong in a previous era. I'll tell you what, I don't. I belong in this era right here, right now, because I absolutely love my creature comforts. I love them, and absolutely more on that later. We're gonna talk quite a bit about creature comforts today. Actually, I actually wrote I created like a little gratitude meme this morning that I put out to all the resilience groups that I'm a part of, and just, it was, I journal, and I gratitude journal frequently. And this one today, it just struck me the right way. And it was really simple. I was just really grateful for heat, for heat in the home. And that said, that is one of the real kind of basic creature comforts that we have now that we kind of take for granted. And so those are things that I really enjoy diving into the gratitude funnel, if you will, where, I throw something at the wall and I see where I can kind of work myself to, like, how did something begin and how did it get to where it's servicing me now. And so that's kind of the way that I gratitude. But anyway, I digress. So the retro thing that I think that we're kind of getting back to, this draw to live events, this draw to being at things together, is I think about when shows used to be, they were just on when they were on, and you either got them or you didn't, right? You either watched the show when it aired, or you had to wait for a rerun to hit, and that would usually be like a day or two, depending on the show, but then everyone at the office or everyone at school is already talking about it, and you're like, you're trying to cover up, and it's this big thing. But the thing was, when you caught it, when you were up with the group, there was this shared kind of excitement that came around. I feel like one of the last shows that really did that was probably Lost. It was a real, and it's funny because I actually didn't go in on Lost, I like while it was live, I think that I actually caught up on it. I might have finished it live, but I think that I caught it. It was like season 6. I don't even remember how many freaking seasons there were. Doesn't matter. But the thing was, it was interesting because when the episodes came out, and you know what, a Walking Dead was actually a really good example of this too. People would wait, and then it would air, and after it would air, people would come out, and everyone would be like, "Oh, did you see the new episode?" And then they nerd out on it like super hard, and you see it now actually with like Disney is doing this, where they're doing releases like Mandalorian. They're doing those installments, and it's so cool. Like, the thing is, like, nobody's complaining. No one's like, "Oh, I wish I could binge." Like, and I ended up binging the first season, and then I missed the first part of the second season, and I did that and ended up catching up. But at any rate, there's the build up and the anticipation and the like we love binging, and don't get me wrong, I love binging, but there is like the anticipation and the build up and the excitement, and then like you get a drip, and then like, oh sweet, oh my god, I can't wait to get to the next one, and it's not like click, let's watch it. It's like, I gotta wait, and it's not even a conversation. Like, it's just, you don't get it. It's just not there. You have to wait, and so there's like a nostalgia for it. There's like a little bit of love there, and there's there's a lot of psychology and neuroscience that actually goes in with that as well, which has always been the case. But it's just interesting to see us kind of going back to some of those things, and putting value on the way that things kind of used to be. And now, and the everything, the immediate gratification, every piece of information is at your fingertips. The world has never been as easy as it is right now. Even for the people that are struggling, even for those of you out there like, the world is not easy. This is the easiest time that anybody's ever had to exist since, we were writing things down, since before we were in any piece of history that we are aware of for mankind, lest there be some sort of secret ocean city of Atlantis that was extremely advanced, that we are unaware of. This is by far, without a doubt, the best time to be alive. Maybe like 2019. maybe everything up until like 2019. This is, it's an interesting thought that like this is the first like communal step back from the constant state of progress that is mankind, that the state of progress that everything always got better after another, and there were, I heard somebody mistakenly say that this that mentality started in, oh gosh, when was it? It was in like the Industrial Revolution. Like ever since the Industrial Revolution, that is when we made this shift. Like everything was pretty much stagnant before then. And then the Industrial Revolution hit, and then from there, there's been this constant move forward and this non-acceptance of life as it is. Like, life should always be getting better. And one, if that's the case, that's not bad. Like, at what cost is a conversation that's worthy of having, right? If we're looking to... I saw this really interesting article. I know that I'm kind of jumping around right now, but I saw this interesting article that was about how many cell phones we go through and how many cell phones get thrown away, and the latest breaking technology that we have that is so the turnover is so high, the attrition is so high. Like we get them, and like max out 2 years, and then we turn them in, and that's, we turn them in, we throw them out, and then we get new ones. Then 2 years, we get them in, we throw them out, and then we get new ones. And this is like millions and millions and billions of people that are doing this, right? So we're talking about millions and billions of phones that are being discarded and thrown out. And then, you know, they're getting recycled, and who really even knows what that means? What is a recycled phone? What are they actually doing? Are they prying apart the motherboards and melting down the metal and reusing it? Like, how much are they reusing and how much is getting discarded? All great questions, you know. But there was this interesting technology that they're working with where, like, the actual phone itself or major components of the phone are essentially biodegradable, or they'll break down in some way that is much kinder to the environment than the way that the phones are now. And I'm no environmental nut, but at the same time I do acknowledge our dependence on lithium ion, which is causing problems, I think, in the Congo with wars and blood lithium there. And you know, a sense of, you know, like our system is built on get something new and throw the old one out. And, you know, and so it's just coming up. I don't think that there's anything wrong with coming up with models that are more sustainable than that are reusable or more efficient recycling and reuse of materials. I think that's all good stuff. I think, you know, finding ways that stuff breaks down faster and more naturally, I think that if we can do that, that's amazing. And so I think that when we're looking at kind of what we have going on right now and where our status at in the world, I think that it's important for us to come at it with a sense of perspective, right? And when we are ensconced in our belief of the day, it's really, and we're like looking down at this problem, it's really easy to get lost in the problem that's in front of us. It's really easy to get lost in the world that is this issue, and then everything you see turns into some shade of this issue that you're looking at, you know, of this problem, you know, and that's kind of the way that we operate as humans, right? Like we have our lenses, and so when we have our lenses, we're looking at it. Everything kind of gets filtered through these lenses, and so if I'm a business owner and my focus is on my business, like most things that I'm going to see, I'm going to relate. I'm going to filter them through this business lens. So it will get more and more focused, right? Like whatever my niche is. Like for me, information businesses, online training, running seminars, public speaking. That's like my thing. And so everything kind of gets filtered through some way, shape, or form in there. Like when I meet somebody interesting and they're telling me a story and I just met them and I'm learning about them, like, oh my gosh, like you would be a great guest for the show. You know, like that's where it filters in. And it's not like a usage thing. It's just like, that's my filter. I'm like, oh my gosh, like people would really benefit from hearing your story. I love that. And I remember there was a period when this show was really focused on interviews where it was like every time I went out, I don't know if I was just attracting these people, but I was consistently running into people where I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to have you on my podcast. Like, would you like to come on and have a conversation? Not like an interview. And most of the time, they'd say yeah. I think that I don't think I was ever told no. I think the ones that I engaged with that didn't end up working out ended up being like 3 or 4. And that was just timing stuff, just busy schedules out of like the 25 to 30 that I did. This is pretty good percentage, pretty good rate of return on that one. So, but yeah, so it's about perspective though, right? It's about understanding the lens, and for people like me and for people in general, it's really important to be able to lift your head up and to look out at the horizon, right? If you're not looking at the horizon, then you get, your reality stays permanently skewed to this existence that's in front of you, to this problem, and only things that get filtered through this problem. Like you'll hear, you know, people that are really focused on racial injustice, like everything in the world that exists has to do with racism or racial justice, you know, and like Like, more power to you, man. Like, that's great. Fight for it. But understand that not everything in the world is tied to racial inequality or racial injustice. And the same thing for there are like men's rights activist groups. Like, not every injustice in the world is some men's rights injustice, you know, like it's. So I had this moment today, and I talked about this in the live stream, and like I said, there were some technical difficulties with getting that thing off the ground, and, you know, we're learning, we're growing over here, and so I'm not sure if it got out there or if you guys were able to see it, but at any rate, I think it's important to retell anyway. And it's just that, so I was driving today and I was dropping my daughter off at like her daycare so she could go to school and stuff like that. And when we were driving, we were going up this hill that leaving our neighborhood, and on the left side there's houses to my left and right. And on the left side, there's like the trees are kind of standing up over the houses. And then you have houses, and then they go down this kind of dramatic hill to where the street is, and it goes straight across to where the other houses are. Maybe they're up a tiny little hill right there. But because of the way that it is, the sun is casting from beyond the trees towards me in this direction, right? So from my left to my right. Don't judge me with lack of cardinal directions. Y'all can suck it. I know all you Army folks out there, all my brethren, all my brothers and sisters in arms out there talking mad smack right now. Look, obviously the sun was in the east, you know, blah. So, yeah, you got it. So, so the sun's over there in the east, let's say that. And it's shining down, and over the last 3 or 4 days, we got some decent snow, and it was really awesome. We got there, hit the hills, we were sledding. It was a great time. But then yesterday, the clouds parted, the sun came out. It got, you know, decently not cold, and like 75% of the snow disappeared. And then today, we continued that trend. But the part of the snow that's still there is the stuff that's kind of permanently residing underneath the trees and in between the houses and in the shade where like the sun doesn't really get a chance to hit. So there's this really cool dichotomy that's going on as I'm driving up the hill. And so I'm driving up and to the right where the sun's able to beat down. It's like everything is just illuminated. It's just on fire. And it's gorgeous. Like from the heat in my car and looking out onto the street and seeing the sun bright and like the grass is green after like just essentially getting watered by all this snow. Like it looked like a fresh, bright spring day. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I look to my left, and it's like the frozen ice tundras of northern Russia. Like, it was such an interesting dichotomy. And it really had me think about this concept that we're talking about today, which is perspective, right? That was kind of the purpose behind like the title of this. I think the title was something like perspective, look up and get some, you know, and I mean that both figuratively, right? Like, you know, like, keep your head up on the swivel and like look around. Keep your mind open to the opportunities around you and to the world that's happening around you. You know, you are not the center of the universe, although you are the center of your universe. I acknowledge. But with that, it's, you know, literally like pick your head up. You know, look around, get some perspective. It's really interesting. There was a great interview with James Clear, who's the author of Atomic Habits. And James Clear talked to... I'm so glad that he did this because it made my life so much easier. I literally, in my notes... So I use Google Keep. And Google Keep is like my quick show notes reference. So if I'm walking, or if I go for a daily walk or two, and when I'm out there, I'll have an idea. I'm like, oh, I need to write that down. And the note app that I use to do that is Google Keep. And so I'll bust out Google Keep and you know, I'll jot down some notes, just type them in. And then, you know, throughout the day, I'll do the same thing. And so that's kind of become like my repository for this stuff. And so literally in there, probably, oh gosh, my buddy Neil would know, because I think that I actually specifically talked to him about wanting to figure this out. And then I think I had even asked him, because he's a sailor of sorts, you know, And I'm sure that he's going to give me mad crap for that. I'm sure he has a technical title, I'm sure, that exists. But, sorry, man, you're in the Army, so you're not a seaman. But I wanted to figure out what difference it would make. Like, if I'm in a boat and I'm sailing and I change my bearing by 1 degree and I travel for, I don't know, like if I have a distance, if I have a destination, I'm trying to get from A to B, and I have a heading, and I change my heading by 1 degree, and I travel the same distance, like how far off am I going to be? And I know it's all dependent upon that distance and stuff, but it was something, in my Google Keep notes, I had this written down as like, you need to figure this out. And so, James Clear to the rescue. Now, he didn't give me the reference via a boat, but he gave me the same essential purpose, the same intent with a different analogy, and it was a plane. So he talked about starting in Los Angeles, being in LAX, and having a flight path that would take you to New York. And he said that if you just adjust the nose of the plane, so if like the plane is sitting directly pointed from LA to NYC, and you change the tip of the plane by 7.5 feet, it was like, it's 1% difference. A 1% difference in the degree heading. Then that same flight path lands you in Washington, D.C. And so depending on the route that you look at, that's like a 250 to 300 mile difference in your, and those distances, those differences are ones that I looked up by like Google Maps. So that's like a driving distance. It's not dead reckoning. But yeah, so you're looking at almost like a 300 mile difference for that flight path, for that flight plan. It's crazy. One degree shift in your heading, in your bearing, in your thought process is going to alter your end result by a massive amount, especially if your end states are far out there. And that's keeping that 1% and never changing. So if you made a 1% difference, 1% change in your life, the results you're going to have over the course of your life, if you hold that 1%, so if you decided that you're going to always get up at half an hour earlier, right? That's it. Like, you're not even going to say what you're going to do for that 30 minutes. You're not saying anything. You're just forever. I get up at this time. I'm always going to get up half an hour earlier than that. 1% difference. 1%. And that is going to create different results for the rest of your life. It starts to stack on itself when you realize that these positive things that you're doing create opportunities for more positive things to happen, right? And so, like, what you fit in to that 30 minutes can change when you're like, well, I'm up. I got up earlier. I may as well be, like, taking really good advantage of this. Well, what if I had 30 minutes unmessed with, unfettered, undisturbed 30 minutes of my own to do whatever I wanted to do. And I'm good. The one caveat I'm going to make is that it has to be something that's good for me. Right? It's gotta be. So I'm like, I'm not going to like shove my face full of ho-hos, I'm going to read. I'm going to watch a video every day that teaches me something. And it doesn't even need to be like boring or like school. You'd be like, I want to learn about watches. Why? I don't know. Watches have always interested me. They're really cool. Like, how do they work? I don't freaking know. Radios. Maybe I want to learn about radios. We're not going to get into the weirdness of radios. I remember learning that there's some crazy crystal in the back of radios that makes them work, and without them they don't work, and just thinking of very specific types of radios right now. But at any rate, I don't want to digress too far. This has been the show of rabbit trails. So, but it's perspective, right? It's making the 1% difference in your perspective. And here's the thing. There are many people out there who I don't think ever even realize that, like, that their perspective is just that. It's their perspective. It's their set of values. It's their set of opinions. It's their set of facts. And I'm not saying that they're making up the facts. I'm just saying that they're selecting these facts because they coincide with their belief system. And that's a very natural thing. It's very natural for us to, like, once we hear something that makes sense to us and we like it, and we buy into it, it's very easy and it's very natural for us to say, when information comes in that aligns with that, we don't scrutinize it very much, if at all. There's no fact checking. There's like, oh yeah, that's great, cool. Add that into the kit bag of backing and solidification of this ideal, of this belief. Now, if something comes in that's contrary to it, we're very, very quick to scrutinize. We're very quick to, like, oh, what's the sourcing on that? Who said that? Like, well, what are their beliefs? Why didn't we do that with the other stuff? And I'm not mad at anybody for doing that. Like, we all do it. Now, what I don't like is when people know that they do it and they choose to keep doing it, right? This is the courage part. This is the what you do with knowledge matters part. So let's go back to our analogy of looking down, right? My encouragement here, my call to action for you is to look up. It is just to lift your head up and to look, right? If you're looking down and you know that there's a world above you, hi, and you know that there's a world around you, whoa, but you choose to keep looking down, you're a coward. I don't have any kinder way to put it. You're a coward. You're the worst among us. Like, if you're choosing to remain in your narrow point of view and refusing to look up to get perspective, you're a coward. It's one thing to not realize that you're looking down. No hatred. Eventually you'll realize. Everyone eventually realizes. But if you're not there yet, I ain't mad at you. Hopefully you get there. If the thing is, nobody listening to this show, nobody watching this is in that category. We're all very much aware of different perspectives. You wouldn't be here. You couldn't be here at this point if you weren't aware of that fact. Now, if you're the type that refuses to look up, if you know this and you refuse to look up, you have two options, right? Look up and stay here with us and with me, or leave. Like, those are your choices, because if this isn't going to work for you, like this relationship isn't going to pan out, and that's okay. I don't want you here. You don't really want to be here. So cool. Drive on with your bad self. It takes, that said, it takes a lot of courage. There's to have the knowledge that something is there, because to have the knowledge that something is there, that something is beyond what you're looking at, that something exists outside of your perspective, and knowing in your gut that looking up will, at the very least, change everything that you know to be true, your reality right now, will change that. If not completely obliterate your world, your structure, your sense of order that exists right now. It's more than likely it's going to be destroyed. If you're willing to look up from it, look upon the rest of the world, and actually observe what's there, right? Like, if I'm over here staring at this icy tundra that is the left side of the road that existed this morning, and I'm always only looking to my left, my thought is that the world is an icy freaking tundra and is not really fun or inviting to go out into. If I shift and I look to the right, I see this beautiful landscape, and I realize that the world is more than just that icy tundra. It's something, it's an option, it's a thought process that's available to all of us. It just takes courage, right? I have a hard time believing that anybody is not aware that different perspectives exist outside of them. They're even aware of them, and they counter them. You know, you look for the canned arguments. That's where we create straw men, trying to delegitimize the thought processes of other people. I've gotten so sick of this. I spent probably 20 minutes today just going through my Twitter following list, and which is already small, and really, really thinning it out. I don't even spend a lot of time on Twitter. It was more of the act of, like, I need to remove the people that are putting in this information, that are putting in this data that I know are so skewed, that are even skewed in the ways that, like, I like to hear. You know, I needed to get rid of them. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of being fed the dribble, the drobble, whatever. I'm sick of it. And so I'm living out my own values, right? Like, I'm trying to make sure that I improve myself a little bit each and every day, and that I'm creating an environment. I'm creating the sources of information coming in. I'm curating those in a way that makes me think, helps me go further along in my journey, in my development, in my personal growth, challenges the way that I think, and makes me happy and makes me laugh. You know, like, it's all of these things. And different videos and different people and different shows have different effects, right? Have the different kind of output that's there, the different results that are there. And I'm able to curate that. And it was really important for me to make sure to go through it and to take manual steps towards making that happen, right? And so, let me see. There was some other stuff. That was really what I wanted to get at with the perspective stuff. Okay, yeah. So there's a really interesting thought. So I was listening to an analysis on some of Sigmund Freud's perspectives when it came to people choosing to remain in kind of destructive relationships. And so you might be like, what? This is a left turn. It's not. This is the looking at the same problem. This is keeping your head down. This is the, my perspective is the tundra, right? And so, like, when what I see is an icy terrain that is unforgiving, that will kill you in a night if you decide to make a mistake and get trapped out there. When I take that as my reality, there's a sense of comfort that comes with it, right? There's a sense of normality. There's a sense of familiarity that comes with that. And it's, we find comfort in familiarity, right? We find comfort in sticking with what we know, even when what we know isn't good for us, isn't as good as what is out there. And so what Freud said, what was the expression that he used? A repetition. He talked about a repetitious compulsion of an unconscious drive to repeat horrors of the past, right? And for a multitude of reasons, whether it be, he ascertained it would be to like master that horror, right? So like I went through that horror last time, but like that horror could be worse, and so like I'm really gonna run it through to the ground this time. And I think on an unconscious level, like I feel some truth to that. Like it's not something that you consciously like, yeah, I want to see how bad this is gonna get, but you're like, it was pretty bad before. Like there was a pretty messed up situation, and this is similar, but like, I'm gonna give it a shot again, and see how much worse it could get. It can't get much worse, could it? Like, that's one heck of a question, and it's one heck of a thought process to like pursue in engaging in action, and engaging life, pursuing life. I mean, like, how much better can life get? It's very interesting, but it was. I'm curious, man. I'm curious if that stuff kind of hits home for you guys too, when you hear that kind of thing. If any of it kind of rattles true in that old coconut up there of yours. But yeah, he talked about, people would choose new acquaintances, that in the pursuit of something different, people will make a new acquaintance and they'll choose new acquaintances, but they'll choose them that are exactly in the same line as their previous friends and acquaintances of the past. Either because they don't believe that they don't deserve any better, and so they don't go out looking for it, or they don't want the trouble of something better. And it's something that's significant. It took me a bit sitting with that thought and kind of contemplating it and going out, on the walks. So my walks are great thinking moments for me. Walks and showers, man. That's where it's at. When you think about what would he mean by they don't want the trouble of better acquaintances? Like, what could that mean? Like, what trouble comes with having better people around you? And then you think about it like, well, a fair amount of trouble, actually. And it's just a whole different variety. And this goes to the old expression, the old age-old adage of the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And so, for a lot of people, the devil that is the alcoholic friend, the drug-addicted homie, the guy who just can't get right, there's a certain sense of there's multiple things, right? There's a savior complex that we can have. We think that we're legitimately trying to help people and be there for them, and we're loyal. And there's also additional aspects where it's like, I feel better when I'm around people that aren't doing as well as me, or that I don't perceive as doing as well as me. It's like the concept of the attractive girl hangs out with the ugly girl, so the attractive girl looks even more attractive, kind of a thing. Like the hot girl's always got the ugly friend. And that kind of concept, but on an emotional level, beyond the superficial looks. Repetitious compulsion of the unconscious driver to repeat horrors of the past. It's very interesting. They don't want the trouble of better. What happens, with the better? That when you're with the better, when you're hanging out with somebody that's acting in the way that you want to act. You're somebody that embodies morals, that embodies virtue the way that you want to do it. Now the struggle there, the pain there, is that you're not doing that. Right? That's the pain point. Oh, mother trucker. I just think that the camera's messed up. I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. Sorry, y'all, if that's the case. For you guys with just the audio version, then you're all good, right? But anyway, when we're hanging out with people that embody those attributes in which we place value on, and they're embodying them and we're not, that's hard. That is a difficult thing to manage, and it is not something that many people want to embrace. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even know how to go about accomplishing getting there in the first place. But why would they go through the trouble? Why would they go through the pain and suffering of trying to solve that problem when the end result is that they're going to feel less whole? They're going to feel less than by hanging out with these people. It's a conundrum. I encourage people to do it, and I think that now we actually have easier ways to accomplish this, to accomplish the benefits of doing this than kind of ever before. And I think that one of the ways that I found myself doing this was through what we're doing right now, was through podcasts, was through shows, was I found a lot of inspiration. I found a lot of inspiration. I found a lot of hope. I found a lot of guidance through podcasts just like this. And it was straight up, it was very much the inspiration for this. And so I'm very grateful for that. And if it wasn't for that show and that influence, I don't know where I'd be right now. I don't know what I'd be doing. Chances are I would be pursuing a government job because that's what my skills dictated, being an intelligence analyst for, close to a decade. Having a high clearance, living and moving up to Washington, D.C., having contacts up here, having probably close to six-figure jobs waiting, to start out, and with the level of experience and the connections that I had. And so, it's like, that doesn't sound like a bad alternative. And it doesn't, and it's not. It's not what I'm passionate about. It's not, I never got true joy from pursuing that, and it was opening myself up to growing and doing that through my connection with podcasts was extremely powerful and really changed a lot for me, obviously, because I'm here with y'all, and I've decided to create a place where people could go to make that kind of change and to build the mental resilience and the resolve to be able to get through those tough times, because I acknowledge that in the pursuit of any dream, any passion, any goal are going to be struggles. Life is a pursuit. We're always pursuing. This goes back to the very beginning. We're always in progress. That's the nature of mankind. We've beyond the Industrial Revolution, all the way back, we have been progressing. The rate has changed. The rate has never been as fast as it is right now. Our ability to recover from a global pandemic and to control it and to overcome in such a rapid period of time has never existed. Like, so beyond blessed to live in the world that we live in now. And it's a good... Right now is a great time. If you guys haven't already taken the time to, as a perspective check on yourself, then do it. Do it now. Stop. Actively question what it is that you believe. To sit down, write down your top 5 core beliefs. Like if you were to say, like, what are the things that you believe in? And you can break it down by category. You could say religion. You could say finances. You could say relationships. And so on. Just go down the list. Debt, kind of goes under finances. Business, freedom. What is it? what are your top 5 big beliefs? Write them down. And then for each one of those, ask yourself why. Like really dig in and say, why do you believe that? And then give each one of those the 7 whys. Go down it 7 times. Ask why. Write out your answer. After you write that out, ask why again. Until you get to a point where you're like, that's it. That's the core belief. And you'll feel it. You'll be like, oh, yeah. That's the answer right there. But do that. Like, those whys really help to elicit some truth from you. And challenge it. Like, be willing to pursue and find something that's contrary to what you currently believe. Maybe, and be willing to ask the question, like, is this serving me? How am I pursuing this belief? Am I pursuing this belief? Is in my pursuit of this, is this serving me and thus the people that I care about the most, the people that I spend the most time around? Because the way that I feel is going to ripple out to the people that I care the most about, the people that I spend the most time with, my family, my coworkers, my friends, my colleagues. Is it serving you? Is what you believe, is your pursuit of those things, is it serving you? Is it good? Is it good for you? These are questions that you can ask, and it's questions that you should ask, and we have the opportunity to do so now. We're in the middle of the biggest reset that we've ever known. You talk about 2008, you talk about, 99, 86 or 87. That was when I was born. Like, I'm speaking historically about things that happened I don't even know about, but these are all massive economic resets that kind of occurred within the system. And this is a kind of a reshifting and reshaping of the world around us. And it's a really good opportunity for us to take a look at what matters to us and why it matters. And does placing our focus on those things really move us in a direction where we feel more satisfied, we feel more content, feel more fulfilled? It's a question that you need to ask yourself. I can't answer it for you. I know that every day that I step into this studio, every day that I sit down and I write for this show and that I create training content and I work and I record and I make more content to benefit the lives of others, I feel lit up. I feel closer to my passion, closer to my core, closer to my spark than ever before. And every day that I get closer to it, I feel like I light up brighter and brighter and brighter. And when I can impart that feeling and help smooth the path for other people to feel the same way, then I grow even brighter still. Like, it's my pride swells more when I'm helping other people do well than when I'm doing well myself, because the two are really intrinsically linked. That's what matters to me. What matters to you? I'm genuinely curious. Like, hit me up, comment, send an email, matthew@mattlestaliainc.com. I'll try to make sure to start putting that in all this stuff so y'all can hit me up. I'm putting out starting email distributions now, and so that way we can start getting kind of a newsletter out there, and we can get some of these ideas out on paper, because I think that's important too. I think it's important to hit this in a multifaceted approach. I want everyone to be able to benefit from what we're talking about here. So if people want to read, you can read. If people want to watch, they can watch. If people just want to listen, you can listen. I want to give you everything. That's what I want to do. Then it's up to you. How you consume, how you choose to move forward, it's up to you. But I'm here for you. So let's work together. And if you're willing to do that, if you find value here, if you think that this show and that the information that we talk about is really worth your time, and you're actually showing up and you're listening and you're sticking around and you're finding that value in it, I want to ask you to do a couple of things, right? Like, first, like and subscribe, right? And just, mark the little bell that lets you know that we're putting out new content, because I want to make sure that we stay spun up, that we stay together. And especially when we start going live, I want you to be notified. You'd be like, yep, no, we're going live right now. And it's really hard to do that if you're not liking and subscribing the content, This is the way that we stay synced up. We can hit that retro feeling of the shows, that build up to that weekly show that we used to enjoy together, That's the way that we do it. It's, you get notified, right? So click that bell. Also, the single most successful way that any show grows, my show is not immune or disassociated from this whatsoever, is word of mouth. And so, again, if you're here and you're actually listening and you're enjoying it, like, feel, if you want to share it out on your social media, like as sharing an episode, money, all about it. But that's actually less powerful, because it's kind of this mass blast. Like, yeah, a lot of people get to see it, a lot of people might like it. That's cool. But if you directly message it to people, there's something different that happens. You're making a direct recommendation, like, hey man, this episode was really interesting. I think I've been thinking about it for me. I've been thinking about perspective changes, and I'm, I just want to know. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Like, what do you think about this? Take a listen and let me know. Like about 20 minutes in, you hit a topic that was really, really cool. Like, I think that'd be something that you might like. Let me know your thoughts. Just send it to share this with 2 people that you think it clicks with. You're like, oh yeah, no, this is totally right up this person's alley. It's right up her alley. Like, that would be great. I think they'd really enjoy it. And send it to one person that you think, like, yeah, they might think that this is a little woo woo or whatever kind of out there. But I think, God, if I'm going to give them the opportunity, they can say no, but I'm going to give them the opportunity to grow. If they want to take the opportunity, they can take it. But I want to make sure, because I think that they'll really benefit from it. So if you are able to do those things, that will do more to benefit this show than anything else, right? That'll do more to grow the reach and to grow the audience. And if we're trying to hit, and by the end of 2021, if I'm trying to hit 10,000 people, not 10,000 subscribers, like the subscription aspect of this, like I said, is really purely so that we could stay linked up when stuff's coming out, so you always know when it's there. The 10,000 goal that I have it's really impact. I want 10,000 people to consume a piece of content that comes from here, because I feel like every single episode I'm trying to make each episode a standalone piece of quality content that can change somebody's life, that can change somebody's perspective. And if you agree, then please, I plead, I implore you to share this out, and get it out there. And when you do that, we start a partnership. Like, I can't do it the same way that you can. When I share my own show, it's self-aggrandizing, right? When you share the show, it's endorsement. So your sharing of the show has a greater impact than I could ever have in sharing it. Just simply because it's me. And obviously I want what's best for me, and I want people to watch my stuff. But when you want people to watch it, that says something more. And so if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to like, share, and subscribe to the show, I will gladly come back and spend another week with you guys here again next week, next Friday. Thank you so much. I hope that you got some value out of the show. If you did, send me a note. Let me know. Let me know how these things are kind of shifting things in your life. Are you starting to make different choices? It all starts with thoughts. So are your thoughts starting to change? Are your choices, have you taken a single action that's different because of what you've heard from this show? I'm curious. Hit me up. Let me know. Matthew at mattlastaliainc.com. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you here again.